Lee Carsley's first England squad is here, and there are some very interesting names in the list. We're going to run through it and my thoughts on the players that have been included as well as those that have been omitted from the squad, and then a quick look at the under-21 squad as well for the exciting prospects coming through there. So of course Southgate is no longer with us when it comes to England, that is, he's not died, and Lee Carsley has got an interim manager basis. And judging by his squad, this could be really interesting. Is this the kind of squad that we would see going forward if he gets it full time? Or is he experimenting with some of the players that he utilised in the under-21s previously? We'll have to wait and see. But we start off with the goalkeepers here today. And no room for Aaron Ramsdale in this squad. I don't think that's unfair. To be honest, he's not played, really, at all. Now he has moved to Southampton. He's most likely going to add another relegation to his resume, but it does mean that he should be starting week in, week out. Instead, we have got Nick Pope, who is now injury-free and back between the sticks for Newcastle, Jordan Pickford, of course, and Dean Henderson, who is Crystal Palace's number one, especially after Sam Johnston has now left the club to go to Wolves. So again, I don't think there's any real complaints when it comes to the goalkeepers. I don't think it's harsh to leave anyone else out. And I think this is the expected trio as it stands. Moving into the defence, and we have some different names in here. Trent is down as a defender, interestingly, rather than a midfielder. So are we assuming that there's not going to be any inverting into midfield and it's literally going to be a right-back position for Trent? I guess so. Next to him, we've got Levi Colwill, who can deputise at left-back as well as centre-back, of course. He has done that for Chelsea and a bit for Brighton as well. So a bit of versatility and a young, really, really good and impressive player coming through the ranks is always good. Mark Gahey staying at Crystal Palace. It's been confirmed today at the time of recording he is not leaving to Newcastle, which means he is going to be starting every game for Palace this season, you would imagine, and continue his development there. Ezri Konsa is another versatile defender that can play centre-back or right-back. A lot more time spent at right-back over the last 18 months or so at Aston Villa, partially due to injuries, but also because they've brought in some good centre-backs in his position. We have Tino Livramento, though. This is an interesting name. I really like him, and I think it was actually a good pickup when Newcastle managed to sign him, and the reason why we didn't see as much of him is mainly because of the excellence of Trippier and then decent defending by the rest. But this season, with Trippier sort of on his way out, whether he'll stay or leave, we don't know. It could be a deadline day move, but he's going to get more minutes for Newcastle this season. Can play right back or left back. I assume that is, again, another reason why he's potentially been picked here, is that versatility for him. Rico Lewis in the squad is something I love to see. Again, another versatile player. For Man City, you've seen him at right back, but you've also seen him move into midfield as this defensive mid kind of player, whether that is starting there or being that inverted right back that moves into midfield and it changes to a back three of three centre-backs. He can play those roles and is clearly a very exciting young player. A very, very nice choice right here. Harry Maguire returns to the squad. He would have been in the previous tournament if it were not due to an injury. So I feel like that was expected. He has been playing this season. Whether he will continue to start now that Man United have De Ligt that they can play alongside Alessandro Martinez, we'll have to wait and see. If he doesn't end up starting a lot of games this season, then maybe it would have been best for him to move, and therefore maybe his place in the England squad will be under question because he just won't have that full match fitness. And then the last defender we have got in the squad is John Stones. So a really, really good set of defenders, to be honest with you. The glaring problem, though, as many people have pointed out, is there is no out-and-out left-back here. Livramento can play there. Colwill can play there. I'm sure Rico Lewis could probably play there because he's just that good. But we don't have a starting left-back. So Chilwell seems to basically be done. And is that just injury stuff? Who knows? Maybe he just doesn't rate him at all. Other players, you've had Luke Shaw, just can't stay fit. He's always injured. But someone like Rico Henry in the past has not got the opportunity that maybe he's deserved. I believe he's injured though right now. Leif Davis had a fantastic season last year for Ipswich. Could he have been called up? Maybe. Alfie Dougherty also had a decent couple of years, so some left-backs may feel a little bit hard done by not being in this squad, but I think the set of defenders for 2 games against Ireland and Finland, it'll be okay. Also, I may love Lee Carsley. There's no Kyle Walker. Any of you that know me know that I cannot stand him, and so I'm so glad that someone has realised that he shouldn't be in the squad. Now, moving on to midfield. Interesting names inbound. We start off with Phil Foden, Premier League Player of the Year. He was always going to be in the squad, wasn't he? Next to him, we have Conor Gallagher, who has, of course, left Chelsea, not due to wanting to, but Chelsea kind of needing to for PSR, getting that academy guaranteed 100% profit on him, selling him off to Atletico Madrid. He is like the most Simeone signing as well, so he's probably going to fit in really, really well there, and that may mean that he continues to keep his place in the England squad going forward, because I imagine he's going to fit that system really well and prove the kind of player that he can be. Next to him, though, we have Gomez, who a lot of people may not really know anything about, but Lee Carsley does, because he has managed him with the Youth England setup before. Previously at Man United, has been playing in League One, a very, very exciting player. It's interesting how they do decide whether like a winger is a forward or a midfielder when it comes to choosing these squads, but it is what it is. He can play on the left, he could probably play on the right. He has spent a lot of time as an attacking midfielder, through the middle in that sort of number 10 role. So he really, really did well and looked electric when he was playing for the England under-21s previously. So is Lee Carsley going to start him? I really hope he's going to give him some minutes, because these are the kind of players that you want to see playing. Exciting, younger players that just always want the ball, are always looking for space, and always want to drive forward. Their first thought when they receive the ball, turn, let's go. So I really hope that we do see a lot more of him going forward, and it will be also interesting to see whether that then leads to him maybe getting a move away from Lille in the near future. Obviously the transfer window is going to be closed before he potentially plays for England, but maybe in January or in the upcoming summer transfer window, you will see movement on him as more eyes are on him. Next up, we have Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, it's just expected at this point, isn't it? For his age, so composed on the ball, just doesn't seem to fear anything and can only get better. Playing at a club like Man United with some of the experience that they've got to help guide his progress, like Casemiro, is invaluable. And so we are going to be seeing Kobbie in the England squad potentially for the next decade. Cole Palmer, also inevitable that he was going to be in this. One of the players of the season in the Premier League last year. And he's just a very, very exciting player, isn't he? He's still got, again, so many years ahead of him to grow. And he's at a club where maybe they don't have as much experience as some of the others in terms of helping guide his development. But there are still some very, very experienced people in and around Chelsea that can help him there. And he is just the shining light in what is otherwise a bit of a mess at Chelsea. Declan Rice was always going to be in this squad as well. He's just one of the first names that you put in there. He is going to be starting basically every game. However, one that maybe a lot of people did not expect is another player that we've seen at England youth levels. Currently at Forest, Morgan Gibbs-White. He had the big transfer from Wolves to Forest, and there were massive question marks around it because it was a big fee. However, I think it was actually his second season there. His first one, maybe his numbers weren't that incredible, but I think that was the season where Forest basically just splashed cash on so many players that it was really, really hard to get a squad gelling together. But you've seen him since that point really start to get much bigger and better numbers in the Premier League, but also just his all-round play. A lot more impressive. And it's good to see, again, another younger player get that call up here. However, it does mean that a couple of players do miss out in midfield, of course. The main one, I'd say, is James Maddison. Because we have seen how good Maddison is, and last season he did pick up a big injury. After that injury, he wasn't as good, and so therefore missed out on the England squad, which was a real bummer, because the way he started last season for Spurs, and obviously how well he played for us for years, he has deserved so much more for England than he got. The fact that he went to the World Cup and just didn't play, absolutely ridiculous by Southgate. So he started the season well, and we know the level that he can be at. So is it harsh for others to be in ahead of him? I'd potentially say so. Although, is that biased because I love him? Maybe. And another player that a lot of people thought would be in the squad, based on the fact he was in the Euro squad, is Adam Wharton. We'll talk about him in a few minutes' time, but I don't hate that as much because he's still young, he's still got a lot of time to prove himself and potentially become a mainstay in the England squad as time goes on. This is basically going to be his season where he can either prove that last season was just a little bit of a fluke and he was really, really good, but now he's coming back down to earth, or that is his level. This is how good I am. Get me in that squad for the next tournament. So we move on to the forwards, and we start off with Jarrod Bowen. Had a really, really good season last year. However, a lot of that was because their striker situation wasn't incredible. So he played through the middle rather than on the right wing, which is obviously his main position. They have now signed Fulkrug at West Ham. They were, and maybe still are on deadline day, exploring deals for other strikers. They looked at Tammy at one point, but he's now moved to AC Milan. So whether Bowen will play more through the middle or on the right-hand side, they have a fantastic squad and they've made some ridiculously good signings. So Bowen should still be playing a lot, and it's good to see him in the England squad. It gives us that option off of the right-hand side, so I don't mind it. Eze is down as a forward, and this is what I mean. Like, some players in here are midfielders. They're not forwards, but they put them down as that. Eze is obviously an absolute baller, and I think basically everybody agrees on that. He's a really, really exciting player to watch, and we hope to see more of him. Anthony Gordon, I think this is pretty much just nailed on that he is in this squad, because left wingers are something that there are a fair few English left wingers that are okay, but none have really over the last season or two really been amazing. Rashford has fallen off of a cliff. Sterling, similar. Sancho as well. I mean, I know he's played on both sides, but it just isn't really there. So Gordon, he has to be in the squad. Whereas Jack Grealish has made it. Last season, injuries and just not involved in the squad anywhere near as much. The season prior to that, when City won the treble, he was arguably their best player. 100% top 3. He was amazing, especially with his defensive work rate, which I think goes very, very underrated. So it's great to see him back. I'm really hoping that we see a lot more of him at Man City this season, and I think this is one of those questionable ones where other players have been left out. For example, a Tony, let's say, in order to get Grealish in. Maddison as well could be down as a forward. So is it based on the level we know he can be, or what's going on there? Because it's definitely not based on form, which that's where questions come in. What are you choosing your players on? Is it because you know them more? For example, some of the younger players. Is it because we know the level that they can be? Is it based on form? What is this? So if Lee Carsley does stay in this position and gets it permanently, that will be a question that is going to be asked as we see different squads throughout the next few months, next year, etc. Harry Kane, people are mocking this and asking why Harry Kane is still in the squad. He has to be, right? And maybe under a different manager with different tactics and a different setup, maybe he won't be playing as a defender in this system and he'll actually be a striker where he can score as a load of goals. Crazy, right? But a big call-up. We've got Noni Madueke. Scores a hat-trick the other day against Wolves. A really exciting player that I feel a lot of people don't know that much about because they know him as a guy that Chelsea signed as part of their scattergun approach that got minutes here and there but didn't really look crazy at all. But suddenly he scored a hat-trick and he's amazing and he's in everybody FPL team. He was really, really good at PSV. We were looking at him, and he was like our dream transfer target, but they wanted a little bit more money for him than we could afford because they knew his level. And so they ended up holding on to him until Chelsea came in and nabbed him, and unfortunately then didn't give him the minutes that he deserved for his talent level. Hopefully this season under Maresca, because he fits that system as that winger that wants to get at his fullback and get in behind all the time, he should flourish under Enzo. And so there is a good chance that you see Madueke as part of the England squad as sort of a mainstay going forward if he stays injury-free. Really, really exciting. Brings a little bit of flair, which we don't have that much of in the England squad. So really, really exciting dribbler, and I hope to see him get some good minutes. And then the last two, we have got Bukayo Saka. Of course, he's just one of the best English players in the world, so don't really need to say much more than that. And then Ollie Watkins, who had a phenomenal season. Hasn't started this one so hot. He's missed a couple of sitters actually so far, but I feel like he deserves this spot as well. So I said we'll look at the under-21 squads just to sort of highlight the level of quality that we have got coming up through the England squad, right? So our goalkeepers, you've got Beadle, Tickle, and James Trafford is the name that most people will know. Again, being touted with a big Premier League move. He did go for big money previously, and he was key to the under-21s winning that Euros Championship, going huge in the penalty shootout. So, yeah, exciting coming through there, although the goalkeeper position is not one that we desperately need someone big and incredible to come through with right now. But then defenders, you've got some exciting names in here. Charlie Cresswell is in there. Callum Doyle, we had him on loan last season. And the season before that, he was on loan in the Championship. Really, really good ball-playing defender. So if we end up playing massively out from the back, he can play centre-back, he can play left-back. Ideally, left centre-back in a 3 is really, really good for him. And he can ping those balls over to the right wing. He's really, really good at that. Lewis Hall, another ridiculously exciting young player. This is crazy. You got Taylor Harwood-Bellis in here. Again, another one that a lot of people will know. Jack Hinchelwood. Not many people will have known of that name. Same with Nathan Wood. But you also have Jarrell Quansah, who has been given minutes under Arne Slot already this season and is rising through the ranks at Liverpool. And then it gets even more interesting because the midfield that we've got here, Elliot Anderson, so highly rated. Newcastle really did not want to have to get rid of him, but PSR issues meant he's gone to Forest, which means this season we could see a lot more of him getting time in the Premier League. Next to him, Harvey Elliott. He is so close to just having that mega breakthrough. Will it require Salah to basically leave and then he gets put over on the right-hand side? Is he going to go into the midfield this season? We'll have to wait and see, but he is such a big talent. As is the guy next to him, Archie Gray, a youngster that was phenomenal for Leeds. Spurs have picked him up, and it's a very, very good signing. It is quite expensive, but he's really versatile. Like, he can even play in defence if you want him to. So, very, very good, exciting talent there. Other midfielders that some of you will know, Tyler Morton and Hayden Hackney. James McAtee, Man City loans are basically where you'll hear of him. Very exciting youngster that has been linked to many clubs, but apparently Man City do want to basically just keep pushing him year on year on year and see what his level can reach. Alex Scott, a massive signing last season for Bournemouth, who didn't actually quite kick on in the way that I thought he would. I put Bournemouth really high in my video of who had like the best transfer window, partially because of him. The fact they got him, I was really, really impressed with that. And I don't know, actually, if he got like some injuries last season and that's why we didn't see as much of him. But I'm really excited that, again, he's featuring in England squads, and maybe this season he'll kick on for Bournemouth, especially with Evan Nilsson being signed up front. And then the final one is Adam Wharton. So even though he's not in the main squad, he is still in an England squad. He's going to get international minutes. That is the main thing. And then the forwards that we've got here, you'll probably know most of these. You've got Jamie Gittins and Liam Delap. Delap has actually got a loan move this season to Ipswich from Man City to... No, that's not correct. He's signed for Ipswich, and it was actually quite expensive. So his development at City has been stopped, and maybe they don't rate him quite highly enough to keep hold of him. But Ipswich, we'll see what he can do there. Another Ipswich player in here, Amari Hutchinson. They had him on loan last season from Chelsea, and he smashed it in the Championship, and now they've signed him permanently, so maybe a little bit of a link up there. Sam Illing Jr., previously in the Serie A, supposed to be a very, very good up-and-coming player with Villa links now. Jaden Philogene, again, another one from the Championship last season, making that step up to the Premier League this season. How many times are we really going to see him play? I don't know, but good to see that even if they're not playing week in, week out, 90 minutes in the Premier League, they can still get selected for the under-21s and then try and utilise that to push forward. And next to him, we've got Morgan Rogers. So Villa are all over this forward line in the under-21s. He has had a great start to the season. He's not got the goal involvements yet, but if you've watched Villa's games, you will see the way that he's dribbling through teams, doing 1-2s. He's really, really impressive. So the under-21 squad is stacked on top of the main squad, and I feel like you can only really be excited. Even going into the last Euros, yes, we didn't win it. We didn't do maybe what some people thought we should have done with that squad. And even though we got to the final, the football was poor, and it just wasn't entertaining or really inspiring, especially when you saw the players and squad that we had available to us, and that was more a tactics kind of thing. So with a brand new manager in Lee Carsley, who played exciting football with the under-21s to win that championship, maybe we'll see that kind of thing going forward, and suddenly a revitalised England squad that look like they can actually go on and smash teams 3 or 4-0 instead of going 1-0 up and sitting back. So I'm excited to see this new era and this new chapter of this golden generation and see what can happen. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on this squad. Do you think some players should have been left out? Do you think someone should have got in that has harshly been omitted? I'm intrigued. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!